All right, so American film market, right? It's like you're ready to launch your film into the world, maybe make some deals, but it can be, well, overwhelming, to say the least.
Absolutely. It's a whirlwind of meetings and pitches. You've got to be on your A game.
Exactly, and who better to learn from than someone who's been there, done that? In this deep dive, we're going behind the scenes with an indie filmmaker, back to 2010, to see AFM through his eyes. He kept this amazing, no-holds-barred blog about his experience.
Which I love because it gives you that raw, unfiltered perspective. And this wasn't just a quick trip for him. He actually went to AFM with multiple projects in hand.
Okay, so already we're talking next-level strategy. Most filmmakers are just trying to nail one pitch, and he's got a whole lineup.
Right. It's like trying to juggle, I don't know, flaming bowling pins while riding a unicycle.
Oh,
You got to be
okay.
strategic.
And this filmmaker, he seemed to get that. Even before setting foot in those infamous AFM hallways, he had a game plan, starting with his pre-AFM checklist.
It's that old saying, failing to prepare is preparing to. Well, you know the rest. And this filmmaker was not about to fail. He was meticulous, prepping everything from CDs to business cards.
You can only imagine the stacks of paper involved. But it was also putting together electronic press kits, or EPKs as they're known in the biz. For those who might not be familiar, could you break down what makes a good EPK, especially in this context?
So picture this.
Yeah.
You've got this awesome film project. Your EPK is like its digital resume, but way cooler. You've got your log line, your synopsis, maybe even a mood board to give potential partners a feel for the project's vibe.
It's like packaging your film's DNA in a way that's both informative and, dare I say, sexy.
Exactly. You want to grab their attention and make them hungry to know more.
And this filmmaker, he didn't stop there. He was laser focused on researching potential partners, going beyond just a quick glance at their company profiles.
He was playing film industry matchmaker, basically. He was digging into their past projects, figuring out their taste, even trying to identify the key decision makers at each company.
So he wasn't just going in blind, hoping for the best. He had a targeted approach, which in a place like AFM is like crucial.
Oh, absolutely. It's like anything else in life, right?
Yeah.
The more prepared you are, the better your chances of success. And this guy was prepped to the max. He even mentioned needing to brush up on his pitching skills, which even seasoned filmmakers need to do sometimes.
It's like that saying, practice makes, well, maybe not perfect, but definitely less likely to, completely freeze up when the pressure's on. Because even with all the preparation in the world, AFM can still throw you for a loop, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
And this filmmaker's first day, let's just say it was baptism by fire.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, his very first pitch meeting, total disaster. Imagine this. He's got a cold, can barely talk, and the words just poof, vanish.
Ugh. It's like every filmmaker's worst nightmare. You're finally face to face with a potential investor, and your brain decides to take a vacation.
Exactly. And the worst part is, the distributor he was pitching to, they were pretty blunt. They basically told him, look, you've got no star power, no festival buzz yet. You're going to need a miracle to stand out here.
Ouch. Tough crowd. But I'm curious, with multiple projects, did he tailor each pitch? Or did he have like a general spiel he used for everything?
That's where all that prep work really paid off.
Yeah.
He had specific talking points for each project, highlighting why that story would be a good fit for that company.
So it's about connecting the dots for them, showing them why your project belongs on their radar. Did he stick to his pre-scheduled meetings, or was there room for, a little improvisation at AFM?
All right, so this is where it gets interesting. He talks about these things he called popovers. Basically, you've got your scheduled meetings, right? But then you're walking those hallways, soaking in all the chaos, and you see a poster or a company logo that just screams, talk to me.
Okay, I'm getting FOMO just hearing about this. It's like the film industry version of we met at a coffee shop, but way more intentional. So how do you turn a glance at a poster into, an actual opportunity?
It's all about being observant, being prepared, and, well, a little bit bold. He'd see something that resonated with one of his projects, and he'd just pop over to that booth, even if it meant tossing his meticulously planned schedule out the window.
That's where those research skills probably came in handy, right? Having all those company names and film titles stored in his brain, ready to go. Did those popovers ever lead to anything substantial?
You bet. He had this one encounter with a company called Joker Films. They were known for those, how do I put this delicately, hot girls getting murdered type movies.
A very specific niche.
Right. And while it wasn't a perfect genre match for everything, he did have one project that caught their interest.
See, this is why we AFM. Those unexpected connections can lead to amazing opportunities. But it's not just about who you meet, right? It's also about what you learn along the way. And this filmmaker, he didn't just attend meetings and work the hallways, he also went to the official AFM orientation.
Which I highly recommend, by the way, even for seasoned AFM attendees. It's always good to get a refresher on the rules of the game, so to speak.
Absolutely. Especially since those rules seem to change at the speed of light these days. What surprised him about the orientation? Spill the tea. What kind of insider knowledge did they drop at this orientation?
Well, get this, they actually advise filmmakers to use film festivals as a last resort for distribution.
Wait, what? That's like telling a chef to avoid, I don't know, kitchens. How could they not recommend film festivals?
I know it sounds counterintuitive, right?
Uh,
But their reasoning actually makes sense when you think about it. See, at festivals, you're going for press, right? Reviews, buzz, that whole thing. But at AFM, you're trying to connect with buyers. And those buyers, they're looking for projects that are pretty much ready to go.
So a film that's already done the festival circuit might be seen as, I don't know, old news?
Exactly. Media fatigue is a real thing. By the time you get to AFM, you want your project to feel fresh, exciting.
Makes sense. You want to be the shiny new toy that everyone's fighting over.
Right. And speaking of shiny and new, the orientation also had this interesting comparison. They talked about Tom Cruise versus Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, now we're talking. Two very different approaches to action movies, but both iconic in their own right. What was the takeaway there?
It all boils down to what they called interpreted marketing value. Tom Cruise, he's a guaranteed box office draw. His name alone can get a movie made. Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's got a dedicated fan base, especially within certain genres.
So it's like choosing your lane. You've got the blockbuster path versus the, I don't know, the cult classic path.
Exactly, and both can be successful, but you need to know your audience and what they're looking for.
So if you're making a slasher film, you probably don't need Tom Cruise on your poster, right?
Probably not. You need a film that delivers on those genre expectations and a marketing strategy that targets those specific fans.
It's about finding your tribe, basically. And this filmmaker, he seemed to be picking up on all these nuances, which is great. But beyond the official events, he also stumbles upon the importance of, well, let's call it the human element.
Oh, absolutely. Those personal connections,
Mhm.
those chance encounters, they can make all the difference.
For sure. He talks about how he was introduced to some key players in the Hong Kong film industry. And not just like a quick handshake, but a proper introduction, which apparently is a big deal in that culture.
It's about building trust, showing respect. And those things, they take time and effort.
It's like that saying, people do business with people that, well, you know the rest.
Exactly.
Mm.
AFM, it's not just about handing out business cards and hoping for the best. It's about building relationships.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into one filmmaker's AFM adventure, what's the one thing our listeners should take away from all of this?
I think it boils down to this. AFM, it's a tool. It's one way to connect with the people who can help get your film made.
Yeah.
But the real work, that starts long before you set foot on that exhibit floor.
So do your research, target your pitches, and don't be afraid to, embrace a little chaos along the way.
Exactly. Be prepared to think on your feet, be open to new opportunities, and most importantly, don't give up on your vision.
Beautifully said. All right, folks, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Now go forth and make some movie magic.